My daughter was slowly destroying my mind. And I let her. Every pill she gave me, I swallowed. And remembered. She thought I was getting weaker. Confused. Unstable. That was exactly what she needed. But before I continue, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from today. Your support really helps this channel grow. Because on the day she tried to take everything from me, I was the one in control. My name is Edward Hayes. I'm 58 years old. I built my company from nothing. One desk. One laptop. Now it's worth more than most people will ever see in their lifetime. And recently, I started losing my mind. At least, that's what everyone thought. Missed emails. Forgotten meetings. Signatures I didn't remember making. The board noticed. Clara noticed first. My daughter. She stepped in quietly. Started helping more. Taking over decisions. Bringing me vitamins every morning. Saying I needed support. Saying I looked tired. I thanked her. I trusted her. I took everything she gave me. And then one morning, I didn't recognize my own office. I stood there, looking at walls I had chosen. A company I had built. And for a second, I felt nothing. That's when I knew. This wasn't stress. This wasn't age. Someone was doing this to me. And the only person who had access, every single day, was my daughter. I didn't confront her. That would have been a mistake. People like Clara don't panic when you accuse them. They adjust. They close doors you didn't even know existed. So I did the opposite. I leaned into it. The next morning, when she walked in with that same calm smile and that glass of water, I fumbled. Deliberately. Dropped my pen. Forgot what day it was. Called her by her mother's name. She corrected me softly. Too softly. Clara, Dad. Not annoyed. Not concerned. Measured. Watching. I took the pills. All of them. I swallowed. And 10 seconds later, I excused myself. Locked the bathroom door. Waited. Then I forced myself to throw up. Everything. Every morning after that, I did the same. And every morning. She watched me a little closer. The symptoms didn't stop. That's what bothered me most. Because if I wasn't taking whatever she gave me anymore, then why was my head still foggy? Why were there still gaps? That's when the second thought hit me. This wasn't new. This had been building for a while. I went back through my calendar. 3 months. That's when it started. Small things at first. Misplaced files. Missed calls. Then bigger ones. A contract I didn't remember approving. A meeting I couldn't recall attending. I checked the signatures. They were mine. Perfect. Too perfect. I've signed my name thousands of times. There are always variations. Pressure. Speed. Mood. But these? Identical. Like they had been practiced. Or traced. I sat there for a long time. Just staring at my own name. Then I called someone I trust more than anyone. Not a lawyer. Not yet. Someone who tells me the truth. Marcus. We built the company together. He left 5 years ago, but he still knows how I think. He picked up immediately. Edward, he said. You sound off. I need you to answer one question, I said. Pause. All right. If I were losing my mind, would you tell me? Another pause. Longer this time. Edward, You're not asking a casual question. I know. He exhaled. Then he said something that stayed with me. You're slower. Not confused. Slower. Like you're fighting through something. That was it. Not gone. Not broken. Fighting. I leaned back in my chair. Closed my eyes. And for the first time, everything lined up. The pills. The signatures. The timing. Clara stepping in more. The board starting to question me. Not loudly. Quietly. Like they were being prepared. That's when I stopped thinking like a father. And started thinking like a man who built something worth stealing. If this was what I thought it was, then this wasn't just about me. This was about control. About removing me, without removing me. Legally. Cleanly. Slow enough that no one would question it. And suddenly, one detail came back to me. 2 weeks ago, Clara had asked me something strange. Dad, have you ever thought about stepping back? Just for a while. At the time, I laughed. Now, I didn't. I opened my eyes. Picked up my phone. And looked at the board schedule. Next major meeting. 7 days. Boardroom. Full attendance. Votes on executive authority. That wasn't a coincidence. That was a deadline. And if I was right, then my daughter wasn't just trying to weaken me. She was timing it. Preparing a moment. Where I would look exactly unstable enough to lose everything I built. I stared at the date. Then I smiled. Because now I finally understood the game. And more importantly, I knew exactly how to play it. I stopped reacting. That was the first rule. No sudden clarity. No sharp decisions. No return to the man I used to be. If Clara was watching, then she needed to keep seeing exactly what she expected. Decline. So I gave it to her. At the next executive meeting, I lost track of a simple report halfway through a sentence. Paused. Looked at the screen like I'd never seen the numbers before. Someone stepped in to finish for me. Clara didn't interrupt. She didn't need to. She just took a note. That's when I noticed something new. She wasn't just observing. She was documenting. Every hesitation. Every mistake. Time-stamped. Organized. Prepared. I saw it in the way she closed her notebook. Carefully. Like evidence. That same afternoon, I checked internal access logs. Quietly. No alerts. No flags. But patterns don't lie. Clara had requested elevated access to executive files. Not directly. Through assistants. Through temporary support requests. Spread out. Never too much at once. Legal. On paper. But intentional. Very intentional. Then I checked something else. Board communication. Private thread. I wasn't supposed to see it. But I still had one advantage. I built the system they use. And I never removed my backdoor. The messages weren't loud. They were subtle. Edward seems off lately. Has anyone else noticed delays in his decisions? Clara has been stepping up impressively. That last one appeared more than once. Different members. Same wording. Too similar. Planted. Someone was shaping the narrative. Not attacking me. Replacing me. I leaned back and let that sink in. This wasn't panic. This was strategy. Then came the detail that shifted everything. The next morning. Clara didn't bring the vitamins. Ryan did. Her fiancé. He rarely came to the house. Didn't like early mornings. Didn't like me. But that day. He walked in like he belonged there. Holding the same glass. Same pills. Same smile. Only his, didn't hide anything. "Morning, Edward," he said. Not Dad. Not even pretending. Just Edward. I looked at Clara. She didn't correct him. That told me everything. The roles had changed. I wasn't the center anymore. I was the obstacle. I took the pills. Watched Ryan watch me. He wasn't subtle. He wanted to see it happen. The decline. The proof. I swallowed. Counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Then I coughed. Hard. Dropped the glass. Water across the table. Pills gone. Ryan stepped forward instantly. Too fast. Too ready. "Careful," he said. But his eyes weren't on me. They were on the table. Checking. Calculating. Making sure nothing was left behind. That's when I knew. He wasn't just involved. He was active. Direct. This wasn't Clara alone. This was a plan they built together. And suddenly, another memory surfaced. 3 weeks ago. Late evening. I walked past Clara's office. Door slightly open. Her voice low. "We just need one clean evaluation. Once it's on record, it's over." Pause. Ryan's voice. "What if he pushes back?" Clara didn't hesitate. "He won't." Back then. I kept walking. Now. I understood. Evaluation. Record. Boardroom. They weren't just preparing to remove me. They were preparing to prove I should be removed. Legally. Permanently. I went back to my office. Closed the door. And for the first time, I allowed myself to feel it. Not fear. Not anger. Something colder. Precision. Because now I had more than suspicion. I had structure. Timeline. Intent. And most importantly, I had 2 people who believed I was already finished. That belief was going to be their biggest mistake. I stopped guessing. It was time to prove it. Not to the board. Not yet. To myself. That night, after Clara left, I went into the kitchen. Opened the cabinet where she kept the bottles. Same brand. Same label. Nothing unusual. That was the point. People don't hide things in obvious ways. They hide them in plain sight. I took one bottle. Walked to my office. Closed the door. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called a man who doesn't ask questions. Victor Hale. Private lab. Discreet clients. The kind of place where results matter more than paperwork. He picked up on the second ring. "Edward. That's been a while. I need something tested," I said. Pause. "How clean?" Silent. He understood. "Send it." I didn't send the whole bottle. Just 3 capsules. Enough to know. Not enough to notice. The next morning, Clara came in smiling. Same routine. Same glass. Same concern in her voice. "How are you feeling today?" I let my hand shake slightly. "Not great," I said. She nodded. Too quickly. Like she expected that answer. I took the pills. Swallowed. Left. Same as before. Bathroom. Lock. Gone. But this time. I didn't feel relief. Because now I knew something worse. Even without taking them, I was still slipping. Which meant one thing. This had been in my system for weeks. Maybe months. That afternoon, Victor called. No greeting. Just results. Edward, what you sent me? I said nothing. Those aren't supplements. I leaned back slowly. What are they? Low-dose neurotoxic compounds. Hard to detect. Designed for accumulation. Silence filled the room. Then he added. In small amounts, they impair memory, decision-making, cognitive clarity. I closed my eyes. There it was. Not suspicion. Not theory. Fact. Long-term. I asked. Permanent damage, if it continues. I let that sit. Then I asked the only question that mattered. How easy is it to administer? Victor didn't hesitate. Easy. Powder form. Tasteless. Mix it into anything. Vitamins. Of course. I thanked him. Hung up. And just sat there. Because now I wasn't asking if my daughter was doing this. I knew she was. The question had changed. Why wasn't she afraid? People who do something like this. They don't take risks. They prepare exits. Protection. Leverage. So I started looking for it. And I found it faster than I expected. Clara had scheduled a private medical evaluation. For me. 3 days from now. Independent specialist. Board approved. That alone wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the note attached. Urgent cognitive review recommended due to observable decline. Observable. Not suspected. Not discussed. Observed. Documented. Filed. I checked the approvals. 4 board members had already signed off. Quietly. No meeting. No discussion. That's when it clicked. The pills weren't the end. They were the setup. The evaluation was the trigger. And the boardroom was the execution. They were going to sit me in that room. Put my condition on display. Use medical confirmation to remove me. Legally. Cleanly. Final. I stood up. Walked to the window. Looked out at the city I helped build. And for a moment, I imagined it. Signing control away. Losing everything. Watching Clara take my seat. While pretending it was for my own good. I almost smiled. Because now I finally saw the full picture. Not just betrayal. Design. Precision. Timing. And the most dangerous part. They thought it was already done. They thought I was too far gone to stop it. I turned back to my desk. Picked up the bottle. Looked at it one last time. Then placed it down carefully. Because now, I didn't need more proof. I needed a plan. And I already knew exactly where this was going to end. Boardroom. Full attendance. One decision. But not theirs. Mine. I thought I was prepared. I wasn't. Evidence is one thing. Understanding is another. I needed to hear it. Not from a report. Not from a lab. From her. So I created the moment. That evening, I told Clara I wanted dinner. Just the 2 of us. No assistants. No board. No Ryan. She hesitated. Just for a second. Then she smiled. Of course, Dad. We sat across from each other like we had 100 times before. Same table. Same plates. Same quiet music in the background. Only this time. I was watching her like a stranger. She poured my wine. Careful. Measured. Then she reached into her bag. Took out the bottle. The same one. Set it next to my glass. Like it was nothing. Like it had always been nothing. You forgot these this morning, she said. I looked at the bottle. Then at her. You've been very attentive lately, I said. She smiled again. Warm. Practiced. You need me. Not, I care. Not, I'm worried. You need me. That was the first crack. I leaned back. Let my hand tremble slightly. What would I do without you? I asked. She didn't answer immediately. She studied me. Carefully. Like she was measuring how far gone I really was. Then she said something that didn't belong in a daughter's mouth. You'd be lost. No softness. No hesitation. Just, fact. And suddenly, all the years between us, disappeared. No childhood. No memories. Just two people sitting at a table. One with power. One about to lose it. I picked up the glass. Held it. Didn't drink. You've been talking to the board, I said quietly. Her eyes flickered. Just once. Then settled. Yes. No denial. No excuse. That was the second crack. For how long? I asked. A while. How long is a while, Clara? She exhaled. Leaning back now. Relaxing. Like she didn't need to pretend anymore. Long enough to know this was coming. This. Not your health. Not your condition. This. I felt something shift inside my chest. Not anger. Something deeper. Something heavier. You planned this, I said. Again, no denial. We prepared, she corrected. Prepared. Like it was a project. A transition. A strategy. I looked at her hands. Steady. Calm. No guilt. Why? I asked. That was the only question that mattered. And for the first time. She smiled without pretending. You built something incredible, she said. And you're about to lose it. Silence. Then. I'm making sure it stays in the right hands. I almost laughed. Almost. By poisoning me? She didn't react. Not shock. Not outrage. Nothing. That was the moment. The exact moment something broke. Because even now. She didn't see it as wrong. She saw it as necessary. Ryan's name slipped in next. Casually. We didn't have another option. We. Not, I made a mistake. Not, I panicked. We decided. Together. I nodded slowly. Took it in. Every word. Every tone. Every absence of regret. You were going to declare me unfit, I said. Yes. No hesitation. Board vote. Yes. When? She tilted her head slightly. Studying me again. Then she said it. Boardroom day. Like it was already decided. Like I wasn't even part of the equation anymore. I stared at her. At the person I raised. The person I trusted. The person who used to run into my office just to show me drawings. And all I could see now was someone who had been slowly killing me. With patience. With planning. With a smile. I picked up the bottle. Turned it in my hand. You know what surprises me? I said. She didn't answer. I looked at her. Straight into her eyes. You really thought I wouldn't notice. And for the first time that night. She hesitated. Just a fraction. But it was there. A small, almost invisible shift. Doubt. Not fear. Not yet. But doubt. And that was enough. Because in that moment, she realized something she hadn't considered. Maybe I wasn't as gone as she thought. I set the bottle down. Carefully. And smiled. Not as her father. As the man she was about to face. I didn't push her that night. That would have been noise. And noise ruins clean outcomes. So I finished dinner. Calm. Measured. Like nothing had changed. Clara relaxed again. That was important. She needed to believe the moment passed. That her words hadn't shifted anything. That I was still manageable. The next morning, I cancelled nothing. Meetings stayed on the calendar. Calls went through. I showed up late to one. Confused in another. Just enough. Just consistent enough. To keep the image intact. But behind that, everything changed. First, I secured what mattered. Not publicly. Quietly. I called my attorney. Margaret Holloway. She didn't ask how I was. She asked one question. How far along is this? Far enough, I said. That was enough for her. Within hours. Every document that required my authorization was rerouted. Every emergency clause. Every executive override. Rewritten. Updated. Locked. No announcements. No alerts. Just signatures. Mine. Clear. Deliberate. Then I called someone else. Not Marcus. Not yet. A man named Daniel Reeve. Internal audit. Invisible to most people. Not to me. Daniel, I said, I need a full activity trace. He didn't hesitate. Whose? I paused. Then said it. Clara Hayes. Silence. Short. Controlled. Then. Understood. No questions. He knew better. Within 24 hours. I had more than patterns. I had structure. Access logs. File movements. Private requests. Everything routed through assistants. Fragmented. Distributed. But when you pull it together, it tells a story. And this one was very clear. She wasn't stepping in. She was positioning. Every department she touched shifted slightly. Authority moving. Decisions redirected. Like she was already acting CEO. Just without the title. I printed nothing. Saved nothing locally. Everything went straight to Margaret. Layer by layer. Quietly building something that didn't just expose her, but closed every exit. Then I turned to Ryan. He was easier. People like him always are. Less careful. More confident. I had Daniel pull financial traces. Side accounts. Unregistered transfers. Small at first. Then larger. Connected to something offshore. Clumsy. Not enough to raise alarms. But enough to prove intent. That was all I needed. The final piece. Was the board. Not all of them. Just enough. 2 members still trusted me. Not blindly. But enough to listen. I didn't call them. I invited them. Private lunch. No agenda. No urgency. When they arrived, I didn't present evidence. I asked questions. Simple ones. Have you noticed the change in process approvals? Do you feel informed, or directed? People don't like being told what to think. But they hate realizing they've already been guided. By the end of that lunch, they weren't convinced. They were unsettled. That's stronger. Because doubt grows. And I needed it to grow quietly. Everything had to align. No early moves. No confrontations. No leaks. Because if Clara sensed even a fraction of this, she would accelerate. And I wasn't ready for acceleration. Not yet. The evaluation was still scheduled. 3 days. Boardroom day. That was her moment. Her stage. Her win. So I let her keep it. I let everything move exactly as she planned. Every step. Every setup. Every expectation. Because the most effective way to destroy a plan is to let it reach completion. And then replace the ending. I sat in my office that night. Lights off. City glowing through the glass. And for the first time since this started, I felt completely clear. Not confused. Not slow. Sharp. Focused. Present. I looked at the calendar. Boardroom. Full attendance. Final vote. Then I leaned back. And smiled. Because Clara thought she was walking into a decision. What she didn't understand was that she was walking into a record. And records don't lie. Boardroom day arrived without warning. No announcement. No tension in the air. Just another meeting on the calendar. That's how clean takeovers work. Quiet. Controlled. Inevitable. I walked in last. Late by 3 minutes. Just enough to be noticed. Not enough to be questioned. Clara was already there. Seated at my right. Ryan in the back. Not a board member. But close enough. Watching. Always watching. The room settled as I took my seat. I didn't speak. I let them begin. One of the directors cleared his throat. Before we move forward, we need to address some concerns regarding Edward's recent performance. There it was. Clean. Clinical. Prepared. Clara didn't look at me. She didn't need to. She already knew how this would go. Over the past months, he continued, we've observed cognitive inconsistencies, delayed decisions, and memory lapses that raise serious questions about executive stability. Observed. Documented. Filed. Exactly as planned. I leaned back slightly. Let my hand rest on the table. Still. Calm. Another voice joined in. We believe a formal evaluation is necessary. Clara spoke then. Soft. Measured. We're not trying to remove you, Dad. We just want to protect the company. Protect. Always the right words. Never the right intention. I nodded slowly. Let a small pause sit in the room. Then I did exactly what she expected. I hesitated. Looked down at the table. Took a breath. And said. I understand. Relief moved through the room. Subtle. But visible. They thought this was easy. That I would fold. That this was already done. The evaluation report was placed in front of me. Prepared in advance. Of course it was. Clara slid it closer. Just sign, she said quietly. I looked at the paper. Didn't touch it. Instead, I reached for something else. A small folder. Dark. Unmarked. I placed it on the table. No sound. But the room shifted. Slightly. Before I do that, I said calmly, I think it's only fair we review a few things. Clara's eyes moved. Just a fraction. Ryan leaned forward. Too fast. Too interested. That was his first mistake. I opened the folder. Didn't rush. One document at a time. Access logs, I said. Executive files requested through indirect channels. Over the past 3 months. I slid the first page across. No accusations. Just facts. A board member picked it up. Brows tightened. Another page. Financial traces. Off-book transfers linked to internal decision timing. Silence deepened. Clara didn't speak. But her posture changed. Barely. Ryan shifted in his seat. Second mistake. I didn't look at them. Not yet. I let the room process. Let the weight build. Then I placed the final document on the table. Carefully. This, I said, is a toxicology report. Now. I looked at her. Directly. For the first time. Confirming long-term exposure to a compound administered in low doses. No one moved. No one spoke. Clara held my gaze. Steady. Still calculating. Still searching for a way out. I leaned forward. Just slightly. And said. Delivered daily. Through supplements. That's when the pressure changed. Not tension. Pressure. Heavy. Unavoidable. Ryan stood up. Too fast. Third mistake. This is insane, he said. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't react. I just looked at him. Calm. Controlled. And said. Sit down. He didn't. But it didn't matter anymore. Because the room had already shifted. Doubt had turned into something else. Realization. And Clara knew it. I could see it now. In her eyes. For the first time. There was no control. Only calculation. And underneath it. Something new. Fear. I closed the folder. Rested my hand on it. And spoke one last time. Quiet. Precise. You wanted a decision. I paused. Let the silence stretch. Then finished. So did I. And that's when everything started to collapse. No one spoke. Not after that. The room stayed still, like it understood something final had just happened. One of the directors reached for the documents again. Read slower this time. More carefully. Is this verified? He asked. It is, I said. Margaret stepped forward from the back of the room. She hadn't been introduced. She didn't need to be. Everything you see has already been filed, she said calmly. With the appropriate authorities. That was it. No drama. No raised voices. Just consequences, arriving on time. Clara didn't argue. That surprised me. She just sat there, looking at the table. Like she was trying to find the exact moment it all slipped. Ryan wasn't as controlled. He spoke. Fast. Loud. Said words like misunderstanding, exaggeration. No one listened. Because the room had already decided. Not emotionally. Logically. Security was called. Quietly. No scene. Just procedure. They were escorted out. Together. The same way they planned everything. Side by side. I didn't follow. I stayed in my seat. Because this wasn't about watching them fall. It was about making sure nothing fell with them. The board reconvened. Different tone now. Clear. Direct. The vote happened in less than 5 minutes. Unanimous. I remained. Full authority restored. No conditions. No oversight. Just control, returned to the person who built it. 3 months later. I walked back into my office. Same desk. Same view. But everything felt quieter. Cleaner. Clara and Ryan faced charges. Serious ones. The kind that don't disappear. I didn't attend the hearings. I didn't need to. Some endings don't require witnesses. I poured myself a glass of water. No pills. No questions. Just silence. Then I sat down. Opened my laptop. And got back to work. My daughter thought I was losing my mind. She didn't know I was watching every move. What happened in the boardroom changed everything. Thank you for listening. Calm justice doesn't shout. It keeps records.